La ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. La ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. La ilala oh, salam alaikum. Ooh la ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. La ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. La ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. La ilala oh, salam alaikum. Ooh, la la oh, salam alaikum ilala. Muslimullah salamatu. Muslimullah salamatu. Muslimullah salamatu. Muslimullah salamatu. Muslimullah salamatu. Muslimullah oh salamatu. Muslimullah 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 salamatu. Ooh, Muslimullah salamatu. Salam, salam, Muslimullah salamatu. Muslimullah la ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. La ilala oh, 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 oh. La ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. La ilala oh, salam alaikum ilala. Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Mm, 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 Salamatu, salamatu. I wish you guys can dance so I can play you Deo, so you can just spin in your chairs, you know. So if I have a little time, I can do Deo for you guys and then spin in your chairs.
Yes, whatever. This is your last one, so you choose.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
Please mute whoever is unmuted.
Yeah, if you mute, then the sound can be better.
Yeah.
Deo. Dem. Me say de, me say de, me say de, me say de, me say de. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Me say day, me say day, me say day, me say day, me say day. Ooh, daylight coming, wanna go home. How can I come and drink a rum? Till I come, wanna go home. Hide the deadly black tarantula. Till I come and wanna go home. If 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch. Till I come and wanna go home. If 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch. Till I come and you wanna go home. Come, Mr. Taliban, tally me banana. Till I come and you wanna go home. Ooh, everybody, till I come and you wanna go home. Everybody, everybody, move your body now, now. Daylight come and you wanna go home. How can I come and drink a rum? Daylight come and you wanna go home. Hide the deadly black tarantula. Daylight come and you wanna go home. If 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch. Daylight come and you wanna go home. The lady is sweet, she takes all your money. Yeah. Daylight come and you better take care of her, or she's gonna mess you up. Daylight come and you wanna go home. Oh, 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 my sweetie, my lady, my honey. Daylight come and you wanna go home. I worship you every day, every night. I know, yeah. Daylight come and ooh, my lady is so sweet, she's so nice, she's so happy. I know that. Daylight come and you wanna go home. So daylight, 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 daylight come now. Daylight come and you wanna go home. How can I come and drink a rum? Sweet banana, sweet, 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 sweet. Daylight come and you wanna go home. Down the bay where the nights are gay. When the sun shines so bright, oh no. Hey. I'll have a beautiful girl in Jamaica now. Oh, oh, my woman, she's an island in the sun. Daylight come and you wanna go home. I say, daylight come and you wanna go home. Everybody dance, everybody boogie, everybody move. Use your shoulders, shake, 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 shake. Daylight come and you wanna go home. Daylight come and you wanna go Daylight, 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 daylight. Ooh, daylight coming, wanna go home. Oh, 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 hey. Daylight coming, wanna go home. Miss Almas, come on, use your head, move your head side and side. Daylight coming, wanna go home. Sister Megan, how are you doing? Swing your head, swing your head. Everybody else, move your body. Oh, 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 have a beautiful meeting now. I know, I know. Happy December, happy December now, now. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody now. Da da do do do. Here I come. Whoa, ooh, 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 ooh. Thank you.
Thank you, Pop. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so
All right.
much. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you. Agnieszka, it's all yours.
Well, as you already well know, you're joining us today for the 10th anniversary of the African Diaspora Network, ADN. And I think we're pretty much all aware that under the steady hand, the tremendous personal energy and vision of our dear friend Almaz Nagash, ADN has been bringing together Africans and diasporans and friends of Africa to uplift the continent and the communities in which we live. Almaz, you deserve to be proud of what you and ADN at your direction has accomplished, and I'm so proud to call you my friend. And could we just all unmute for 1 minute and give her a round of applause? We would certainly give her a standing ovation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Now, if you all please remember to mute again. ADN began, as many of you know, because many of you have been with Almaz on this journey, began with no funds, but with a unique focus of bringing us all together. And that focus has enabled ADN to serve more than 7,500 individuals over the past 10 years through mainly 3 signature programs and 1 new one that I'm very happy to tell you about today. You're all familiar with Builders of Africa's Future, which is the program that celebrates innovation and impact in early stage African enterprises. And stay tuned because the 2021 Builders of Africa's Future have already been selected and their names will be announced in the coming weeks. The second one, of course, which many of you have participated in, is the African Diaspora Investment Symposium, ADIS. That's our signature global convening, where for the past 5 years, more than 250 attendees annually came to the Computer History Museum in Silicon Valley. And last year was my first year to attend, and the amount of energy and connections and the quality of the people was just mind-blowing. And of course, as you know, because of COVID this year, ADIS 21 had changed the format to meet the needs of the times, and it's been offered to you monthly and virtually. And you can certainly understand how much difficulty and extra work this has been for Almaz to keep us all together in all these difficult circumstances. And then the third signature program is a series of impact and innovation forums. And these were bringing African diasporans and friends of Africa from various sectors like government, business, NGOs, academia, and all of this again to strengthen various partnerships and to advance the development of the African continent. ADN gathers at the key national hubs of influence in the US, which is of course Silicon Valley is the center of innovation and entrepreneurship, in New York for the center of finance, and Washington, DC is the center of diplomacy and policymaking. And then our brand new program is Builders of America's Future. That's a new initiative, and it's an enterprise accelerator program designed to support small business and nonprofit organizations led by African diasporans and African Americans based in the United States. And we're very happy to share that we just received $20,000 in seed funding from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation to design and launch this program. So more details will follow on with this. And as we go forward, as you already know, our strategic plan has asked us to focus on program areas in education, healthcare, connectivity, and finance. So those programs are going to be focusing on that, and we're hoping to bring you some new things too. So today I want to thank you for joining us to celebrate. And I encourage you to be part of our journey, not only by attending all these fantastic events and making all the valuable connections and friends that you do, but also by making your financial contribution so that we can continue to bring you these wonderful opportunities to connect with each other and to support our brethren on the continent. So thank you again very much. And I'll turn it back over to Almaz, and we're going to have another fantastic program together.
Oh, thank you. Agnieszka, thank you. For those of you, you might not know, because we have not had really a chance to tell you how we got to be where we are, but Agnieszka is at the core of who I have become over the last 15 to 20 years. She and her incredible husband, wonderful human being, they have invested in everything I have done since Santa Clara University. So I know she wants me to take this credit, but really, none of us are here as an island. I think we are where we are because there are people who believe in us. And I'm very grateful, because since I was a child from my parents, I'm number 7 of 8 children, I have really benefited of everything that one can have. And I'm so very grateful to all of you. Agnieszka, you are at the core of it, because you really are probably one of the very few people who know me for who I am. And thank you for everything that you do. I know we're going to be a little bit behind the schedule, but you know what? We'll catch up. But this morning is really a celebration of our collective effort. You are here because you believe in what we do and you have been a part of it. And I've seen people who have been with us from the beginning. So thank you very much. I really wanted to just say thank you also to our funders over the years. You know, we started, you will hear all the story during the panel session, but we started with nothing, but just really a belief in each other and humanity. I am really in love with people, regardless of where we come from and what our status is. I have really benefited of just being a human being rather than just a black, white, where I come from and all of that. And I think in so many ways, it is not easy to believe that, but I also find it to be the best thing to be, is just to be human being. And every time I present myself as a human being and not as anything else than just being a human being, it has really benefited me. And I will continue to do that because I believe in you and I believe in myself and my family and my community. So thank you for this morning. I was going to go and read you why ADN is where it is, because about maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago, when we were developing the booklet, I asked our former chairman, Chris Folayan, to give a testimonial, which you will see it in the booklet that we will share today. And I am not going to read the whole thing, but I want to tell you that Chris Folayan is the founder and CEO of More for Africa. I didn't know he was going to say this, but it really is very humbling for him to say that the work that ADN has done and his partnership with ADN has actually enhanced his business. And his business, for those of you who may not know, it really is to be the next Amazon for Africa. And I'm very touched by that, because you wouldn't know what you're doing when you're doing it. But then when you hear from people like Chris and others that you will see also in our in the session today, you know that what you are doing matters. We know people have made connections and relationships. I don't control what people get out of this, but one thing I am so grateful for is the people who tell us what they have gotten out of that. And so even if we make one person's life better in the last 10 years, I am very grateful for that. But this is a very long journey and a lot of hard work. And I want to say special thanks to Dan Hartz, who was here today. He has been with me from the beginning, and he continues to be a part of ADN. He does not want to give up on me. He never did. And he's our finance director, and anything that I need, I get from him. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm also happy to tell you that even though I was the only person working as a full-time for ADN, with the help of Dan and Deborah, we're very delighted to have Megan Hansberger such an incredible, delightful human being as a full-time program manager for programs and digital media. So I'm very, very proud of where she is going and what she does to make ADN whole. Deborah Pasillo, she has been with me since I was at Step Up Silicon Valley. She wasn't able to be here. She's a teacher. She's teaching this morning, and I'm also very proud of her for what she has done with us. Yinka is in Ghana. She's not able to join us, but she pretty much everything you see on website is done by Yinka and also on our online platform. Very grateful for that. Caroline Ocampo, a very good friend of mine. We worked together at Catholic Charities when I was running Step Up Silicon Valley. She did help design the booklet that you're going to receive today. So all in all, I'm very grateful, and I'm surrounded by many people. What is special about today is also the funders. The funders have made this whole, this organization to continue to thrive. They believe in what we're doing, and I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. You are all listed in the booklet, but I'm also happy to see the CD Glean is here with us today, the president and CEO of US Africa Development Foundation, our lead funder for this year. I'm very, very thankful. And also just to say, there are 10 to 12 builders of Africa's future that we are going to announce in the next couple of weeks. They will be receiving money thanks to USADF. This year will be our first time to give money award to these individuals who pretty much need the money in order to make sure that they sustain their businesses and work. Last but not least, my wonderful family, my husband, who has been with me ever since we met some 28 years ago, when I said to him, I'm going to be a partner, not just a wife. I'm going to go get my master's degree. And he said, oh yeah, sure, you can do all of that, and never disappointed me. So this is not possible. This is only possible because of his support and his faith in me and my children, Saron and Dani. With that, I am very happy to say that today we have the Honorable Ambassador Matilde Mukantabana with us from the Rwandan Embassy. Ambassador, if you want to say a few words before we show the beautiful message that we've received from the Honorable Paul Kagame, please share some words, and we would be very happy if you want to just say a few words about what Rwanda is doing to enhance innovation and entrepreneurship in the continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Almaz. It's a pleasure for me to be here, but I think, and congratulations again on your celebration. This is the best time to be here to see what you are doing in the diaspora, because maybe what I can say is that our country is very interested in harnessing the efforts of diaspora to contribute to the efforts of the country. So this is a symbol of what we can do to expand our energy to work together across the world to strengthen what Rwanda does. Rwanda has leapfrogged in many different ways, especially in using technology in its development. So and obviously we've benefited from connecting to Silicon Valley and to many technological areas in the United States. And it's more so interesting for me, not interesting, but also happy to see that our diaspora is very much engaged in doing that. I know your action, and we admire you, and we always encourage the Rwanda diaspora to do what you have been doing. And as a matter of fact, I'm interested in seeing how we can connect our well-organized diaspora with your diaspora to see how they can learn good practices in how they can do what you have been doing. So I wish you well, and I think that my president will speak.
Thank you so much.
I'm here, but I'm when my president is speaking, I just I stay here and we hear his message. But congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Work with you. We will partner with you if you want. And also we have friends in common that we can all get together and see how we can work on programs that are mutually beneficial to both. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. What an honor. Thank you. Megan, it's all yours.
Warm greetings to everyone. I want to thank the African Diaspora Network, in particular Armaz Negash and the team for inviting me to speak with you today. I also wish to congratulate you on this 10th anniversary milestone. Over the years, the African Diaspora Network has brought together thousands of like-minded people to believe in and contribute to the progress on our continent. This year, you have adapted to the COVID pandemic by finding new ways to serve and connect your members. Rwanda and other countries on the continent are doing the same as we work to mitigate the impact of the pandemic on our people and our economies. Although it is more difficult, we have to think beyond the present moment by mobilizing resources and new ideas to accelerate the development our people need. Africans in the diaspora can continue to play a role in this. For example, the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is nearing implementation, provides vast opportunities for investment, business, and human capital development on a scale never seen before. We want to learn from the experience of others in regional integration and technological innovation to ensure success. In Rwanda, we have learned that one way to get to where we need to be is to pay serious attention to inclusivity, leaving no one behind. For example, by guaranteeing participation of women in leadership positions at all levels, we can only win. Finally, I urge all of you to continue to remain engaged with Africa. There are many ways to stay up to date with what is happening here and take part in the many opportunities that our continent has always offered. We will continue to be good partners on this front, and indeed, we look to you to do your part in addressing the challenges facing Africa. Once again, I congratulate the African Diaspora Network and wish you continued growth and achievement in the years to come. I thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful and really grateful. Thank you. Ilian, wherever you are, you must be proud, and I am proud. Thank you, everybody. Now I'm very happy to ask my wonderful friend, my mentor, an incredible supporter, the first woman really who really looked at ADN and said, yeah, I can help you. Musembi Kaniero, the former president and CEO of Global Fund for Women. She spent time, all her life, really supporting women throughout the world. And with Musembi, you have just not only a friend, but someone you can count on. And I'm very grateful for her support, for saying yes from the beginning. So Musembi, the floor is yours. She's now in Kenya doing some amazing work, working on the global impact, working on many different women-related issues. And I think the world is better because you're in it. So thank you, Musembi, and I'm sure you're as proud as I am today because this is our joint effort. And thank you. Because this is our.
Thank you very much, everyone, and greetings. I greet you from Nairobi, Kenya. It's dark and night here. and it's morning for many of you who are in North America. I'm celebrating with all of you our 10th anniversary. And I call it our 10th anniversary because indeed, I was there at the very beginning. If we talk of a birth mother, I could call myself a birth mother of our organization, the Diaspora for ADN. And I am very grateful to my friend Almaz, with whom we have worked from day one to today. And today she asked me to make some remarks. And I thought what I wanted to do, or what I would like to do, is just briefly share with you the joy of coming back from diaspora onto the continent. In 1988, my family and I packed our bags and went to Geneva, where we stayed for 20 years, working globally in many different countries, but really having Geneva as our base, where our kids grew. And so it was our first prolonged diaspora, not counting the years that we had spent studying abroad. We came to the US in 2007 and stayed in the USA until last year. When I combine all of the years that I lived as a diaspora, both as a graduate student, both for master's and PhD, and then in my working years, 20 years in Europe, and another nearly 20 years again, nearly about 17, 18 in the USA, I understand what diaspora life is like. And so when 10 years ago, Almaz had this idea of creating an opportunity for us as diaspora people to come together, it was only befitting that we could dream this dream and make it come true together. And so having known each other before, because I came to San Francisco, to live in San Francisco, years after I had met Almaz, it was really joy to be able to develop and think specifically of diaspora people that are in professions which can either connect them to the continent or completely dissociate themselves from the continent. And our intention was really to help us come together and appreciate the opportunities that we have as people of Africa, born probably in Africa or of parentage from Africa, with all the friends in the world that care about Africa, and create an opportunity to care more about Africa and to embrace Africa with pride and take every opportunity for us to learn from one another, to mentor one another, and to discover the gifts that we bring to the table as African people that have been given the privilege of education. And I want to say here, getting education is a privilege anywhere in the world, and more so on our continent. And so that was the beginning, and the rest you will learn in many other areas. So what does it look like coming back? So I decided to come back home, and instead of retiring, I rewired back on the continent. And that means I changed the system that I was working in and have immersed myself in other systems that helped me to delve even deeper on things that are happening on our continent. And so I want to share just in 5 minutes or so some of the joy that I'm having knowing my continent much better than when I was outside the continent. I was invited and joined the United Nations Global Compact. And this is a part of the United Nations that brings together companies and corporations and gives them an opportunity to learn together, to voice issues together, to be change makers in many areas, including climate change, gender issues, and other things that help companies behave responsibly in the communities in which they are, but also have voice to come and share those results of what is happening. During this time that I have been on the board, I have continued not only to know the interest that companies have in doing good in the societies in which they live, but specifically, the area I want to lift up is the area that has been my lifelong advocacy area, the area of gender. I will lift that up. But just to tell you that since March until June of this year, the Africa section of the United Nations Global Compact organized several webinars on the continent. And the intention of these webinars was to address the key issues in Africa during this COVID pandemic. And each webinar in the series focused on key issues such as SMNCs, women, advocacy, resilience, etc., and showcased what companies were doing. I was involved in the area of companies speaking about the gender issues that they have embraced and what they are doing specifically to support women during this COVID-19 area. And this is interesting to me because very often when we live outside our own continent, the story gets told that African people are so machoistic that they don't remember to think about women. I'm here to tell you very, very gladly that the statistics that are there, when you think about women's representation and leadership on the global level, in terms of presence on corporate boards and executive committee positions, Africa leads in this area. There are many women in Africa who sit on corporate boards and who sit on corporate committees. So this is really very interesting. What is a problem here, though, that we are looking at the Global Compact is that there are still issues. There are still issues of pay differentials, even though women are there. And there are still issues of those women being higher in relationships to the percentages of the world, but still much less to what we would want to do in relationship to the continent itself. We also have got quite a lot of data on women-owned businesses in sub-Saharan Africa. And women entrepreneurs are almost twice as likely to be operating in the informal sector in Africa that we know than in other areas. But even in these areas, their leadership is very visible. And that means that during this time of COVID, one of the major issues that companies are looking at is actually looking at the situation of women and how COVID has impacted women. In our webinar that I was able to facilitate, we could see a statistic that women make up 74% of the informal sector in sub-Saharan Africa. During this COVID, it's been noticed that there's increased domestic violence during the lockdown, both at home and within the public space. There's increased responsibility in the home for women, and that will impact the gains that they have made in going to the public place. There's a limited scope covered in terms of vulnerable women. So how are businesses responding? I'll give you just a couple of examples that we had from the companies that reported. Some businesses have increased the support for reporting on domestic violence, and some are finding ways to disseminate information so that they can be much more shared information of their own staff. And then there is businesses that are looking for ways to support women through financial contributions and cash transfers directly to women. There is also increased focus on integrating more women into the formal sector and in the decision making. And there is also increased effort for providing affordable free platforms to help build women's competencies and skills for the long-term area. When companies were asked what is the most needed support that women need now, many have answered technology, technology, and technology. Because this is an area which, even though right now there is quite some access to the use of technology, as many of you know, in many countries, it's hardly enough for us to be able to say it's sufficient. And there are less women that have been exposed both to the use of technology for their businesses and for other things that they need to do. And so there is enhanced support. There is enhanced campaign to support women to get more technological skills, but also the infrastructure of technology, including software and hardware as well. Now, let me come back to why the Global Compact has, what they have done to increase the presence of focus on women. A program that I participate on as a senior gender advisor is called Target Gender Equality. Target Gender Equality. And Target Gender Equality is a UN Compact accelerator program focused on implementing the women's empowerment principles by supporting companies to set and meet ambitious targets for gender equality. While gender equality is widely considered a business priority, our research shows that less than 30% of companies are setting concrete targets to ensure progress and accountability. Target gender equality starts by focusing on women's representation and leadership in businesses and includes access to capacity building workshops so that companies are enabled and helped to have capacity building workshops, but also conscientization workshops of the benefits of including women. And the final thing that I want to say about this is that this week, on the 3rd, which is in 2 days tomorrow, this Thursday, there is a focus on Africa that if any of you are able to attend and you go to the UN Global Compact, you can register for making global goals local businesses. This is an accelerating, is a program that will focus on many different things that businesses in Africa are doing. And it will be a whole day seminar. It will be a whole day seminar. And I encourage you to register for it because you will see so many companies in Southern Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, speaking for themselves and saying what they are doing on the ground, both to make their businesses successful, but also to be inclusive of things that matter for the continent of Africa. Finally, I have been also engaged in the area of education. I think many of us became diaspora people as workers. In the area of education, I find that as we go into the future, Almans, I speak to you and I speak to everyone here, we must invest in supporting the younger generation to have an education, because this is what opens up possibilities for success, whether it's in businesses or in other choices that people make. I serve on the board of United World Colleges, and here we bring together students from all over the world into spaces, college spaces, to learn together, to understand what peace is about, to understand what cross-cultural working together is all about, and to begin at an early stage, because in that early stage really helps to shape the future of where these students who are just beginning in their early beginning might become for the continent and for the world. I'm delighted to have been and still involved in our forum, ADN, And I say involvement in an organization is about giving one's talent, one's time, and one's treasure. I continue to be joyful about donating to ADN. And in this Giving Tuesday, we should remember, if it's our organization, before we ask anyone money, whether it's a foundation or an individual, it's the people who really value that organization that give of their own resources. And so I encourage us, those of us that value ADN, to think of making it successful by funding it and really owning it so that we can have the credibility to ask for funds that help us expand our work and make it much more sustainable. Thank you very much. And I hope that your dream is to come back on the African continent and be as proud as I am being back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Musembi. Thank you so much for inspiring us. Always a wonderful thing to speak about women, and especially in the context of Africa. We still have a long way to go, but I'm glad that you're back to Kenya, and I'm sure you'll make so much difference, and we'll join you as we move forward. I'm going to make a little bit of a change in the agenda, so I'll have Jackie Copeland Carson just share take on the stage and bring the panelists, and then we will show you additional videos toward the end of the session. Thank you. Jackie?
Hello, everyone, and greetings, whatever time zone you're in. This is a celebration, and I am honored to be invited to facilitate a celebratory conversation about really the oral history of ADN. And I am so happy to do this with my friend and colleague, Almaz Nagash, a woman with a dream, who with the help of the universe made it real and is still standing triumphantly 10 years later. And so I just want everyone to unmute themselves. I'm going to take a page out of Agnisha's script and give her a clap, a woo-hoo. Wake up, girl. We are so proud of you.
Thank you.
For everyone who's part of the village and has helped to make this happen. I always say it takes a village to change the world. And so it's just good to see you all and to be a part of the ADN story. And so I'm gonna invite Musembi, my friend Musembi, hello there, and also Dan Hartz. I don't see Dan, so I wanted to make sure he was here.
He's here.
He's here. Dan, can you show your face so that everyone knows who you are?
Yep, here I am.
Okay, hi Dan. And
hi.
So I'd like to start this conversation today before I formally introduce everyone by just saying what a historic moment this is. I always think of history being made by the actions of every single individual every day over time. And, you know, you don't have to be a major political leader or a wealthy person to make history. And certainly Almaz and ADN have made history. One of the things that is so inspiring is, you know, many of us on this call are from the old or the new diaspora or Friends of Africa. And just that diaspora experience is very challenging. And to be able to step through it to create, support, and change for others is an obligation, but it's also a miracle, because there's enough happening when you are migrating and surviving the worst the world has to offer to be able to stand above it and have a vision and bring people together and make that vision a reality. So we're here to celebrate community. we're here in the midst of all kinds of crises in the world as a testament to what can happen when people of vision join together with resilience and persistence to create a new future. And that is essentially what ADN has done. And I will be shameless about asking you to support ADN throughout the session. And I'm usually shameless in that way because change always costs money. But today is Giving Tuesday, so I have a complete excuse for being very upfront about this. And so all of these miracles have happened through ADN on a nickel and a dime, as we say in the African American community. And I have the privilege of being the founder and the CEO of something called the Women Invested to Save Earth Fund. And we focus on two things. One is promoting funding equity for women, particularly Afro-descendant and Indigenous women, who are the two most underfunded demographics on the planet. And for all of you to just think in your lives how an Afro-descendant woman, an Indigenous woman may have inspired you or supported you or contributed to your community. And often that's as a volunteer or with funding out of from their family and their back pocket. And one of the things we do is stand up and say loudly that we need access to private resources to do our part to change the world. So I'm going to say that for ADN today, and I've been saying it for organizations since 6 a.m. this morning. That's how I'm celebrating Giving Tuesday. And we also work on climate change. Even if women and people of color and other marginalized people in the world had all of their rights restored, the fact is the planet is dying. And so what we try to do is to keep the focus on climate change as we are uplifting women and others to be change agents, and to also highlight organizations that are led by women who are the first and most impacted by climate change so that they can get support to be part of the solution. So this is a momentous day celebrating an organization that's had staying power. I want to introduce Dan first because Musimbi and of course Amaz have spoken today, and I want you to make sure you know about Dan as one of the founding board members, along with Amaz and Dr. Musimbi for ADN. So Dan is an original board member for the African Diaspora Network, and he is a product specialist at a company called Envoy. And he's a concerned ally about Africa and its diaspora. He has also served as the director of finance and operations. And he has had a great role in strategy with ADN. He also, and Dan, I don't know how you have all these jobs, is a senior manager at Global Mean Capital Partners, which focuses on economic development in Africa's agriculture. So I want to acknowledge Dan and his critical role as well in the history of ADN, and actually thank you very much for your continuing contributions. And so we're going to have a conversation today that's going to teach us all about the history of ADN, almost like a case study of African diaspora leadership and resilience. And I give ADN a lot of credit because I've been working on trying to bring the diaspora together in my own way since I was 17 years old. And it is not an easy thing to do because of the challenges our people are facing and are living throughout the entire world. And then the challenge of bringing together allies. So big kudos to Amaz and ADN. So I'd like to start actually with Amaz. And I would like for you to just take us even to the point of the prehistory of ADN. Before you started forming it, this kind of powerful vision usually starts before the actual initiation of an organization. So just tell us a little bit of your story as a visionary for this, and when the initial seed for what would eventually become the Africa Diaspora Network was planted, how it germinated, and then I will move to the next phase of your history. Amaz?
Thank you, Jackie. It's so good to see you. And thank you, Megan, for putting four of us together. I think what's happening, Jackie, is that we are pinned, all of us. So the people who are viewing, they're seeing four of us together. So they see that. Yeah. So she did a great job. Thanks, Megan. I don't know how to do these things, so I'm grateful to you, Megan. So Jackie, thank you. Always thank you for being of support. And just so everyone knows, when I needed money for ADN, when we started ADIS 2016, the first one, and then on, I've always gone to Jackie and she always came through. Thank you. So this is our shared vision. Well, you know, there is someone in the audience today. His name is Ned. Ned and I met in 1998. In Arizona. I was pregnant with my daughter and my first one. And so I went to Arizona to envision what it would look like to create a seawater farms in Eritrea, my home country. And I was in love with the project because in 1996, it's a long story, but in 96, I took the first US delegation because my background is international business. I mean, if you ask me, how did I get to be where I am? It's a long journey, but I am where I am because I needed to be. I'm supposed to be doing this, I think, because that's the only reason I can justify this madness. I call it madness because it really is a lot of work. But at the time, we had a vision to transform Eritrea's seawater using the seawater farms to create a circular economy for the country. And I was absolutely in love with the idea. And so, of course, I put all of these pieces together and I took not only the delegation, but in 1998, I also took a group of scientists, and Ned was one of them, to go to Eritrea to try to create a joint venture partnership between the seawater farms in Eritrea and the seawater farms the seawater farms in Arizona and the Ministry of Fishery in Eritrea. It's a long story, but to make it short, it started very well. It worked really well, and everybody was excited, and I was absolutely overjoyed until 2001, and the rest of it is history. That thing didn't work out. Political things came in between, and everything was on standstill. And I was heartbroken. I mean, I'm absolutely heartbroken. But then I never gave up. And I said, I continued to think, what else can I do to support Eritrea, to support the continent? And I think in 2009, 2008, I left a job that I had, and I had time in my hand to think through. And I start to really think about why aren't Africans in the diaspora involved, or Africans involved, when well-meaning, my American friends, they happen to be white like Dan, and I just said, why are you guys not including Africans when you're talking about Africa? I just didn't feel right. And these were my friends, social entrepreneurs who were really meant what they want to do is going to make a difference in the continent. But the problem is we were not at the table. The reason I wanted to be at the table, I wanted our voice to be at the table, is that to avoid the disappointment that Africans face over and over and over when people come to solve a problem on their behalf, when they absolutely have no idea what that means to the community. Is it that they need shoes, or is it that they need education? You can't just do things because you feel like you want to go ahead and make a big change. It's okay to do that, but just at least to have some voice of the diaspora. And I was ridiculed by a lot of them saying, but the Africans from the diaspora, they don't really engage, they're not here, blah, blah. And I just said, okay, I can either be a complainer and be a pain to all my friends and really lose them as they come, or I can really figure out how to do this and bring them together. And that's exactly actually how I met Dan, because Dave, the person who founded Golden Mean Capital, and we met, we discussed about the same thing, and I just brought them in and said, okay, what if we can do this? And I knew Musambi, we met at Columbia University many years before that, and I just said, Musambi, I have this idea. Would you be able to share this idea that I want to share with you? And she did. And my friend Cheryl Chamberlain, she's here today. She gave me a space at EMC in Santa Clara, the company, and we met there. And Dan knows we were 15 of us. I have no idea what I was saying, but I just said it, and they all said, "Oh yeah, fine. We could support. We could be there." And then of course the rest is history. So I'll stop there. And but that's really, I think, the genesis.
Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing that origin story and even a little of the prehistory. What I hear from that is you're a woman who knows how to think and act on her feet. That new visions were coming to you and you were just reaching out to people. And here we are some 10 years later, and it's real and it has power and it will continue. And so I'm going to move on to, because now you've met Dan, and I guess it's at this point, late 90s, early 2000s?
No, 2010. 2010. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 10 years ago.
Yeah, with children, which is, becoming a mom is a major milestone, obviously, for many women. And so at this point, your and Musimbi's paths are crossing again. And so I want to turn it over to Ms. Musimbi, but I also want to acknowledge Musimbi, because I will even remember in the early 2000s, Musimbi, who I had not even met in person yet, was supporting my work with something called the Pan-African Women's Philanthropy Network in Minneapolis. And she was actually our first or second grantor. So this is a woman who walks her talk. She has been going around the world supporting Africa and women and people of all backgrounds, I think for almost 40 years, Musimbi, if I'm correct. She's also a minister. I don't know if many people know Dr. Reverend Musimbi also has that background. And so really happy to see you thriving in Nairobi today and sharing your perspective and wisdom on the story of ADM. And thank you for all you've done. And so here you are crossing paths with the force of nature, the Amaz. And she comes to you in what way? How did you learn about her dreams of ADN and get involved?
Thank you. It was a reconnecting. I had moved to the Bay Area from Geneva, where I had spent most of the time. And we reconnected as people who had met before. And I was busy with the Global Fund for Women, where I was no, I had not joined the Global Fund for Women. I was busy working for the Packard Foundation. But
right.
there were two ways that Alma thought of me. He thought of me as a possible donor, and she thought of me as a friend for ideas. And she just came with both of those ideas. Can you be able to help us think through, but also help us to think through how we raise the money? But the more and above was to be able to facilitate together developing a strategy to move forward. And what is it that we are really going to do? Because you cannot be able, we all know that you can't raise the money without a story, and a story that has the credibility to give the return on the investments that people make. So I think that this is what we spent our time for the years that I was together with the Almars and Dan and others, because I was the first chair of the board and I was in that position until 2018. it has been much more growing at each session and thinking what next? Who do we, how do we make this table bigger than ourselves? How do we ensure that when people come to the table, that the conversation at the table also adjusts to include the others? Because you cannot be inclusive by keeping to your own ideas alone. Every time a person comes to the table, you have to make room for the ideas that are brought at the table by those people. So it has been much more orchestrating that possibility as we have seen ADN grow, and specifically during the conferences. And so many people participated in making the conferences possible, both in giving their time, giving their ideas, and so on, and then continuing to fundraise. And really, I was committed from the beginning to also be a personal donor to ADN. So, and as even now, having moved to Kenya, I'm not giving that up. I still donate to ADN because I think really where you invest your funds shows the interest that you have in that particular place. So, and I think that supporting work that brings diaspora people together is really important. I believe in it.
Well, thank you for giving your time, talent, treasure, and your voice to support ADN. It really takes all of that, and certainly your contributions have been impactful. So ADN, you mentioned the conferences, and there's actually a lot more. The amount of programming that ADN has been able to do has been quite remarkable. So I'd like to start with Almaz and then move to Dan and ask, from your perspectives and building on what Musimbi just mentioned, what are the highlight accomplishments of ADN over the past 10 years? Thinking about what you were dreaming about 10 years ago, and then fast forwarding to where you are today. Tell us, what sticks out for you as key accomplishments.
I think the first big accomplishment, if one can measure their wealth with the social capital they have, it's the people. I am the richest woman you can ever imagine. I can reach out to Ireland. I have friends in England. Everywhere in Africa, I can go and out and about and say, could you help me with this? And they are there for me. That I think is the greatest accomplishment. And I'm very grateful for that. I think at the end of the day, it's not just about the programs that we develop. It's the very people that make us and enable us to do, especially for me. I am a people person, and I'm very grateful for everyone who has made this possible. And to be very blunt about this is I have my Peter Yap with me today, and Peter and we've met in 1995 or 94 or 90, I think maybe 92, many years ago when I was interning at the World Trade Center in San Francisco. Not only is he my friend, he is also the godfather of my daughter, and he happens to be from Myanmar. And so you can see that biodiversity is very, very much at the core of who I am. I'm also not here on my own. There are people who made this possible for me when I came as a foreign student. I was really, really grateful for the people who really just shown everything that I needed to do and supported me, the Emersons. I love them to death. And of course, they are no longer with us. But after my mom and dad, my own father and mother, they became my own mom and dad. And so I really have benefited from these incredible relationships and support that I have received over the years. And there's so many of them here with us today, and some of them, they are not here. But in terms of programming, I think the best thing that we have done is to create the African Diaspora Investment Symposium with the support of the US State Department. We did not have money. We had to get $15,000 to get this startup fund. And then of course, next to that is my wonderful friend, Melissa Greer. She's not here to join us, so she's not feeling well, but she put, and Dan knows this, she gave us $20,000 to boost that whole thing and move it forward. And so you can see that we created that, the African Diaspora Investment Symposium, in my opinion, is the greatest accomplishment in terms of programming. And then after that, we said, what else can we do? Let's build the African diaspora, the builders of Africa's future, because we want to be able to give something to the African entrepreneurs in the continent. And then the third one is the Impact and Innovation Series that we scaled to Washington and New York. We have plans to scale it to other states as time comes, but COVID has put us on hold. But on the other hand, COVID also enabled us to reach people that we would not have been able to reach otherwise. This year, from April 1st until now, we are on Zoom on a monthly basis where we've served almost 3,000 people who have come through through ADN. And then the last one, Agnieszka takes responsibility for the naming. It's called the Builders of America's Future. When I mentioned to the board that we've got a $20,000 seed funding from Silicon Valley Community Foundation to create a local entrepreneurship support program and accelerated program, Agnieszka said, let's call it Builders of America's Future. And now it's stuck. It's going to be Builders of America's Future. And so we have 4 programs that we're very proud of, and they will be surrounded by these 4 strategic direction that we have, a new strategic direction that we're already unveiling through Addis 2021. It's education, healthcare, finance, and connectivity that Agnieszka mentioned at the beginning. The board is very, very connected with ADN. They're very, very responsive to our needs, and we came up with these 4 strategic direction that will take us forward probably for the next 3 to 4 years.
Okay, brilliant. Quite a bit of accomplishment, and I agree with you. Everything starts with people. Nothing is possible. And so great that you kind of took it to the root. I'm really excited about the new strategy as well. So Dan, tell us what you think some of the key accomplishments are for ADN, but also some of the challenges, because no success comes without struggle. So love to hear your perspective.
Thanks, Jackie. I appreciate that, and appreciate your words earlier. And Almaz, obviously, your words just touch me every time. So thank you. And of course, Almaz stole all of the good answers about accomplishments for ADN. No, the programming that she mentioned obviously are huge, but I'm the behind the scenes guy. Since the beginning, you know, my connection with Almaz goes all the way back to USF. That's how I got my internship with Golden Mean Capital. That's how I got the invite to Almaz's meeting. And I know I'm not the only person on this call who upon first meeting Almaz felt like they knew her, right? We were fast friends, and I understood her vision and wanted to help make that a reality. And so for me, being sort of the behind the scenes, you know, strategy and literally, you know, keeping the lights on kind of guy, the biggest accomplishment, the first biggest accomplishment that I want to mention is really just actually getting our nonprofit status. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention Britt Stockert, who after I came on board, I said, hey, let's keep the USF family sort of in the mix here. And so I got some interns to come from my graduate program at USF, and Britt was one of those, and she was amazing. She did all the paperwork back and forth to get us properly recognized by the IRS with our 501c3. And so I think that took a couple of years actually, while we were, as you said, every nickel, every dime that we could scrounge up, we were programming however we could. And so that really set the table for us to move forward and start to really raise money. Well, Almaz to raise money, because she's amazing at that. And it's, so I think that's really like the biggest milestone at the start for me. And then of course the investment symposium, which we were crazy to do. I think there was like 4 or 5 of us, and you know, we had 200 people. It was pretty intense, but that really launched us to the next level, as Almaz noted. And you know, the challenges, you know, to me, I think this is true for most organizations, but for ADN, there are 2 that stand out, and they're definitely related. And that's just the lack of resources. You know, and one of the repercussions of that is it's difficult to really granularly quantify your impact, because it takes a long time, right? From the day one of ADN's existence, we've seen a constant flow of ideas, investment opportunities, high impact education and healthcare programs, entrepreneurs and innovators with crazy, amazing ideas, all just coming our way, people wanting help. So the need has been and continues to be great. And it's really been a small core group of people since that day one that have donated their time. And it's mostly been financed by friends and family. Luckily, as I mentioned, pretty much everyone who meets Almaz quickly becomes a friend or family. And so year after year, we continued on and we grew incrementally. But the continual sort of lack of resources or sustainable funding has limited the scope. We're starting to see how some resources can unlock and expand that scope. But, you know, I believe the ADN's programs and the connections that have been made through our events and partnerships are very far reaching, and they're pretty incredible impact given that it was mostly some unpaid volunteers doing this for 8 years or so. And I know there's people on this call that can attest to the truth of that statement, right? The impact is very far reaching. And I think, you know, the lack of resources has not allowed us to really quantify to a really detailed level just exactly how far reaching that impact is. It's more anecdotal. And so that's also been hampered a little bit of the fundraising side of things. It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't have money, so you can't quantify exactly what you're doing, but people know you're doing something good. But so it's just little by little incremental change has been what we've had to do. And I think that's a challenge that we've accepted, and we accepted that early on, and we're now overcoming that.
Thank you. Very insightful comments, for sure. You know, the funding world often expects for nonprofits and businesses to document and evaluate their outcomes and impacts, but it's really difficult to get funding to do that. And so I would like to personally say that ADN has proven itself now for 10 years. And in the spirit of Giving Tuesday, we'd like to invite all of you to give. But I'd like to also ask you to put in a chat for us just a note that says how ADN has impacted your life, someone else's life, or your business. It's very important because I've been there. I founded a lot of organizations where you don't have the money to document what you're doing, and time passes, and it's easy for it to all be lost in the oral history. So just, if you could, in the chat today, right now, because we're going to claim future funding for ADN to document its story. And if you could help us design that evaluation by sharing the impact ADN has had for you, that will be very helpful, and I will do the same. I want to close out the panel discussion by asking each of you, starting with Musimbi, to comment on ADN's future. Has a great track record to build upon. Africa and its diaspora are facing new challenges every day, and it takes all of us. WISE Fund is really just focused on climate change and funding equity. So what do you think, or what will be the next step for ADN in shaping the future of Africa and its diaspora, starting this Giving Tuesday? Musimbi?
Thank you. First of all, I want to say that the data that we have in ADN that is available all the time, and I'm sure can be produced, is that we have the data of diaspora people in America. Because as people come to the conferences, we are able to have their addresses and their contact willingly. So I don't think that there is any organization that has as rich data on the Africa diaspora in the US as ADN. And I think that's such an asset that we should be able to claim and be happy and celebrate. Secondly, I want to say for the future, as we go into the future, I think what I learned from ADN was when the diaspora people came and showcased what they were doing, I was amazed. Our story is untold of the innovation that African people are making by themselves. A number of people that are on the board now that took over the board or came to the board when I was there, as I listened to the stories of the companies that they have founded and leading, and the connections that they are making with the continent on those companies, that is story untold. And I think a future has to be able to speak loudly about those stories because they will inspire and model innovation, invention, leadership, courage, and everything that we often do not get a credit for from the African continent. Because very often what is featured is what has been done in the world by others. But really the innovation that comes from Africa is not featured. So I'm hoping that ADN can help really feature that innovation, both of the diaspora people and also the innovation that is happening on this continent. Being here, I am just amazed as I hear stories from Nigeria and Ghana and Rwanda and South Africa and any country, all countries that I can't even name. There is always something exciting that is happening. And I think our future should be in building these stories because this is really going to give us a lot of credibility in the world in which we speak. And COVID is going to affect everybody in the world. I'm not lost to the fact that it might take us several years back. But I think it's the resilience that Africa has shown from time immemorial. We have to hold high on that because everybody must always claim something that is very typical of them. And Africa is known for the resilience that we can carry forward. So I hope that we take this along even after COVID and continue to build better and to build stronger together.
Thank you for those incisive observations, and certainly ADN is a part of uplifting what is good and impactful and inspiring in the African story. So Dan, I'm going to ask you to comment on impact and ADN's future as well. What can we expect? And if there are other ways that ADN needs support?
Yeah, well, as everyone, it's obligatory to mention COVID because it's just our new normal is nothing we ever expected. The transition that Almaz led and Megan has been a big part of to these online, smaller monthly events, I think that is going to be obviously a huge part of the future of ADN. In the nearer term, it would be amazing if we had sustainable, long-term guaranteed funding that would allow the team to grow, right? We have 2 full-time employees, Almaz and Megan, and just the fact that we were, in the last 2 years, our impact has expanded exponentially, I believe. And so a couple more full-time people would be really amazing. And I would hope to see that within the next couple of years. In the longer term, Almaz mentioned at some point earlier, it's the ADN community and I think the diaspora community at large likes to be together, right? So hopefully we can return to some semblance of normalcy and again have some in-person meetings with ADN, and I think that would be amazing, especially around the 2 different BAF programs, which I think are going to be the builders of Africa's future and America's future. I think are going to be sort of keystone programs going forward to really generate a lot of impact and support a lot of entrepreneurs on the continent and here in the States. So that's kind of where I see things expanding. This combination of smaller targeted online events that really can bring together specific communities around specific efforts and programs, sectors, etc. And then some of these larger sort of umbrella programs that can bring people together in person is really kind of what I'm hoping to see.
Mm-hmm. People and resources are the key to ADN and our collective future. So thanks, Dan. So Almaz, I'm going to ask you for the final comment about the future of ADN. What are you dreaming for the next phase, and what are you already making real that we can support?
You know, Jackie, thank you. I'm a dreamer. So, and then when I dream, there are people I go to and share this dream with, and they never say no. And sometimes they are very strictly saying, no, this is not going to happen. And so I'm very much looking forward to implementing this new strategic plan that the board has put together, because these are incredible 4 strategic areas that are going to be impactful, whether we are here locally, healthcare, education. These are critical. Connectivity, finance, we need money. Everybody does need money. How can we amplify the work of the diaspora? Let me just say this. The diaspora comes with no generational wealth. I know that because Rega and I had nothing. When I came here as a foreign student, all I had was hope and really this persistence and this determination to finish college. When my wonderful American dad, Dr. Emerson, asked me, when he was interviewing me, he and his wife, to stay for a board and room for 3 months. This was probably 1987, 1988, when I first came here. And he said, so you're saying to me that you are a foreign student, you really don't have much money, and what are you going to do if you don't get the 20 hours per week that schools give you, as a foreign student? And I looked at him and I said, I will get the working permit. And he actually said to me later on in our time, that was the reason why they both said yes to have me and really help me throughout my education. So I'm just going to say this, I have faith. And I will continue to believe in each other. And then I will continue to believe in the donors who really believe in ADN. And I'm very grateful to the foundations, not just the money we get from Agnieszka and Art. It's not only the money we get from Musembi and from Josh and from Duncan. These are our board members, or from Chum, or from NDA. This is really, and it's not the money that my husband and I give to ADN, Dan knows. I think it is going to be from the foundations like the Conrad Hilton Foundation, the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, the Siegel Family Foundation, the King Badawin, the KBFUS Foundation. And collectively, all of these will help us. The USADF, I mean, who would have thought that we will get this major funding from our own CD Glean and his team? And the State Department too, they are our partners. So I really believe they will help us get the funding to do one of the things that Jackie mentioned. We need an impact officer. In fact, we are talking to a foundation to help us hire someone to really assess what we have done. And then how can we even support the builders of Africa's future? We want someone to really follow the 30 in the pipeline, and then those that are coming in the future. So really, I see the future as bright as it can be, because during COVID, everyone came for ADN. For that, I am very grateful. We have been supported, nothing to complain here. And our diaspora, they are generous, they give. But I also know the challenge the diaspora face, because remittances are critical to our families back home. And I know the pull and the push is there. But I'm here and we will make this happen, because I do believe that the diasporans need this ecosystem that ADN created for them to meet partners and potential funders and investors and others that they can make their business whole. At the end of this session today, we will be giving you a 34-page history of ADN that you could see the past, the present, and the future. all of that, really, you can see it is, I am just a messenger. It has been done through the support of many, many, many people. And I'm very grateful to you, Musambi, Dan, for getting us started to a new year and ending this year in this way. And I look forward to working with all of you to make this vision come true.
Right. Well, it is really wonderful to support accomplishment and to just have this opportunity to see in real time that change is possible as we live through this tipping point in the world. So the challenges are in our living room, but the ADN story proves that together we can envision and make real a new future that's better for everyone. And so we have about 10 minutes to take some questions. If there are any, I'm not quite sure how Megan I know Megan is going to handle this for us. And so I don't even have to worry about it, but I want to give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. We have some testimonials, impact testimonials, really real ones in the chat that I hope, Megan, you can save for ADN. But this is an opportunity if you have a question, a suggestion, a comment, to just take a few minutes so we can get everyone in the time remaining. And then I have a favor to ask you at the end of this session.
So Jackie, while people are really putting their thoughts together, and I'm also going to help with the questions. So I was going to ask Megan if you could show us the testimony, the message from CD Glean. That would be wonderful.
The U.S. African Development Foundation, USADF, congratulates ADN on your 10-year anniversary. ADN, you play a very important role in bringing together Africans and Friends of Africa. The African Diaspora Investment Symposium has created an ecosystem, an enabling ecosystem, whether in person or virtually. You brought us together to collaborate and to create new possibilities for Africa. USADF is proud to be the lead funder of the new program, Builders of Africa's Future. We look forward to collaborating with you on that program and for years to come. Congratulations.
Congratulations, ADN, Almaz, everybody that has been part of these amazing 10 years. 10 years. What a wonderful achievement. This is Thelma Ekior, SMENG representing Lagos, West Africa, Nigeria, Gender Lens Investing, ADN, you make Africa proud. I'm specifically proud of my sister Almaz. You give Africa a good name, you let our issues get out, and most importantly, we believe that the diaspora has to be part of this revolution of positioning Africa for greatness. Congratulations, everyone.
Thanks, Megan. Thank you, thank you.
All right, so thank you. Yeah, that was terrific. Just always good to hear those testimonials, very personally encouraging as well.
We are holding the best for the last, and so yeah, we've got 30 seconds, but they are incredible entrepreneurs that we would love people to hear from. But Jackie, it's all yours.
Okay, excellent. So more good stuff to come. So Megan is, I think, going to facilitate some questions from our participants.
Have you seen any questions, Megan? I think the one question I saw was from Martin, who is asking if people can talk more about the sustainable funding that Dan was talking about. But that's all I have. I haven't seen any questions from anyone unless I'm missing anything.
No, that's the only one I saw as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only one right now. I think it's a good one because it's an overarching need, and it's you know, since the beginning, and it still is. And again, as I say, it's for every organization. So as ADN members and supporters, as individuals, I really think that Almas has mentioned the importance of foundations to our programs, and I personally have seen funding through larger foundations has been more beneficial and more guaranteed, I would say. So I also, one of the milestones I wanted to mention, and I forgot earlier, I apologize, is our first 6-digit donation was actually from Santa Clara County. And that was a big moment for us. But when you're trying to get grants and funding from governments, you are at the whims of elections and things like that. So really, I think the future of sustainable funding for organizations of our size and that are trying to grow is really to partner with larger existing foundations. So please, anyone who has connections with them, send them along to Almaz. I'm sure she has a friend at that organization already, but the more touch points we have, the better.
Okay.
Thanks, Jan.
It takes a village. We got one question that I think it might be good for maybe Almaz and Megan and whoever else to answer for everyone. And the question is, how can my organization get involved in ADN?
Yep. And I think Megan just shared the Join ADN is one way. We are going to be pretty much enforcing membership fee. You know, as many of you know, we have been giving our services at no cost to many of you for many years. And we are coming back to you and ask to join us as members. Some of you are, you're already paying between $249 and whatever else you can pay, but we will come to you in the new years. For right now, you can just go online and join us. Just shared the link. But I also think that this organization has an incredible social capital that we want to really harness. And in fact, we are going to launch the outcome of the survey, the scientific survey that we've done. We'll share it with everyone in the next couple of weeks. Just take a look at it. Everyone seems to be willing to support, but we are going to make sure that you do, and we will enable you to do that. And so right now, just join the network, and it doesn't cost you anything, but eventually we will come in after you to charge you.
Okay. And we actually got another question from wonderful, I think, Kai Madlala, one of the builders of Africa's future. And I want to say the one way that ADN has helped the WISE Fund is, I think it was the last Addis symposium where I met Kai, and he is now one of our WISE innovators. Just a really brilliant, remarkable technologist and advocate for Africa. And so his question is, how can the youth in Africa spread the word about ADN and its contributions?
Megan and we have, thanks to Abby, a supporter in Nigeria, a youth, who is going to be working with us just to do that, to spread the word. And so if you email to Megan, and Megan can share her email with you, we will be very happy to tell you how we're doing it, and we'd love to get your input as well. And so that might be one way to do that, but we do have a young Nigerian intern who's going to be working with us. He already started, but we would love to give you that information. I also see my friend Bill Scott, his hand is up. Bill, you're on.
Okay, great, thanks. This has been a wonderful morning. The good news is that I think USAID is going to be paying more attention to Africa. So I know you've got some good contacts back there, and I've got a few contacts, but we should try to talk to AID about getting some funding at some point, because I think they're going to be a lot more interested in working with a group like ADN to help their projects going on in Africa. And under the Biden administration, there are going to be more projects in Africa.
Yes, and that is something that, Bill, you and I should talk about, and we'll figure out how to make this happen. And Melanie, our incredible philanthropy advisor who makes things happen is here. And so if you send us that info bill by email, we'll be sure to follow up.
I want to say something about the youth, the question about the youth. On the continent here, the use of social media by young people is incredible. I can tell you it is more than the Silicon Valley in terms of different forms of social media. So I think if we have a message and the young people are able to embrace that message, whether through a use of Instagram, which almost everybody, I'm in Kenya, and I have seen it, embarrassed at how ignorant I am in living in Silicon Valley, and can't use half of what young people can do with social media here and all forms of social media. So I think that question from youth is really good. If you are going to have somebody that helps to connect with the messages and images and so on, then you are home if you invest in the youth in Africa.
Excellent observation. And we got a comment from someone as well that the youth in the US also have a lot of energy, and engaging them to help spread the word about ADN might be beneficial as well. So with that, I think given the time and what's coming up in the program, that I am supposed to close this out. And I'm going to ask Megan to share the fundraising information in a moment, but I want to first thank Musimbi, Dan, and Almaz for sharing the ADN, the inspiring ADN story. Many of our nonprofits and businesses don't make it to 10 years. So this is really cause for celebration. I'd like to thank you for all of the impact that you've had, and encourage everyone to keep dreaming and supporting Africa and its diaspora. I often think of Africa as the world's barometer. So it's in the best interest of humanity to ensure that Africa is doing well, that all of its talent is supported, because we all have a key role to play in helping to solve some of the greatest challenges facing humanity and the planet we share. So with that, I am going to ask you for my Giving Tuesday favor. And so I want you to pay attention to the screen. Megan, you're up to share the contribution page, please. And so we just had this wonderful conversation, and actually an entire day devoted to the wonderful story of vision and impact, and I will say community building, that is ADN. I personally look forward to ADIS every year. It is an opportunity to be with kindred spirits and to exchange ideas, to get encouragement for our efforts to support Africa and change the world. But even in these difficult times, and I would say especially in difficult times, we have to find a way to put together whatever resources, financial resources, that we have to sustain the organizations that make a difference to us. Often we're all assuming that there's some foundation or wealthy individual who is supporting the work. And as you heard from Dan and others, ADN has sustained itself through a family and friend network, but it has so much more that it could do. There is an opportunity cost, lost opportunities to support Africa and its diaspora that is just a result of ADN not having the hard cash that it needs to move to the next level. You've heard of this exciting new strategy for ADN, working on some of the toughest challenges facing Africa, its diaspora, and the planet. I want to remind everyone that organizations like ADN help Africans but also establish models that can benefit everyone. So on this Giving Tuesday, we are asking you, actually starting now, and Megan is going to show the actual online donation link for you and the giving levels. So there are 5 giving levels that really give everyone an opportunity to give to ADN within its means. I will tell you that in the nonprofit sector, for organizations at ADN's level of growth, individual contributions are critical. The African diaspora, say African immigrants in the US and African Americans alone, give $20 billion every year. That is in straight up donations and remittances. And we need to do more as we can, but we need the help of allies. ADN needs your help. So Megan, if you can show the link, the online giving link.
I'll also put the hyperlink in the chat after the slide, but they're written here as well.
Yes, if you, it would be good if you could display it because, yeah, or put it in a hyperlink. And actually what I'm going to ask everyone to do, and I'm doing it myself, is to make a contribution to ADN right now. So if you could put that link in the chat for everyone, Megan, that would be helpful. So we can just click on it and make our donation this Giving Tuesday and at least get that end of the quarter donation out of the way. Given for those of us in the US is already December somehow. Instead of the mad rush on December 31st to make the donation, which is what often happens. And so I know Megan will be, maybe I missed it, but the link should be in the chat momentarily.
The link is there. She just shared it.
Okay, I see it now.
Thanks, Jackie.
Yes, my pleasure. And so thank you everyone for allowing me to be a part of this. And I am going to turn it over to Almaz.
To Megan, yeah. For we have a couple of videos that we want to share, and then we'll give you the booklet that you can download and enjoy. It is a token of appreciation, but also it's a living document that we wanted to continue to grow with you. But this is a past of 10 years, and tells you where we are today, where we're heading. So Megan, do you want to just take the moment to share the 2 wonderful testimonials, or just a message from our BAF and a partner?
My name is Tabitha Abeson Abimiku, the founder and CEO of Purchase Reusable Sanitary Pad from Nigeria. I'm a Builder of Africa Future awardee, the class of 2020. Through the ADN network, I gained access to mentorship from Michael of Johnson & Johnson, possible partnership opportunities, and I got increased visibility for my business that paved way for me to be selected as one of the best 200 businesses in Nigeria for the first ever digital startup accelerator by Forbes International. Thank you.
I'm Shirley Villot, founder of Cadalis. I participated 2 years ago in 2018 as a speaker to the African Diaspora Investment Symposium, and the year after as an attendee, and it was an amazing event that allowed me to present my company and most of all to meet my partner for the American market. So I really encourage you to participate to this amazing event because it will allow you to have opportunity and to meet awesome person. Thank you, Almaz, to organize each year this amazing event. I will be very delighted to come back next year and to meet you and your team and your amazing speakers.
That was beautiful. Really a great way to hear from Tabitha and Shirley. Really amazing because they both are actually thriving. And Michael from Johnson & Johnson, I know you're here. You never like to take any credit. Can I just say thank you? Actually, it was through Michael that I met Josh Gaim, who is now on our board. Michael is also leading and absolutely helping us get the next 2021 Builders of Africa's Future. He is on the ADN advisory group, but also just an incredibly generous human being. So you see, we are pretty much filled with all wonderful things. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask, we're finishing on time. I'm going to ask Megan to share the booklet. Please enjoy it. Use it as you see fit. We have put together lessons learned because we do have a lot to learn. And I hope you do not make the mistakes that we've made, but you look at what we've done. And if you ever try to create an entity like this, stick to it because it is not a one-time shot. It just takes a lot of effort. And I'm grateful to the team, grateful to the board, to our funders, to every one of you who come every time we invite you. So really thank you, but we'll give a few moments here to make sure that you all download the booklet. And I want to just shout out to Musembi, to Jackie, Agnieszka, Ambassador, Rwandan Ambassador Ilian, everyone, and the Honorable Paul Kagame for honoring us today with his message. It means a lot to us, especially in the diaspora, when we hear from leaders from Africa, and really thank you. Megan and I, we will continue to reach out to you. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to ask Agnieszka, do you have any last minute words do you want to share? Thank you. Thank you.
Just to say that, Almaz, you've done an unbelievably amazing job. You've left a fantastic legacy, and there's still so much more to do. So the only way we can do it is with all of your support. And that means time and treasure. And I leave you as just a family of friends. And we have so much more opportunity for impact together. So I look forward to the next 10 years.
Thank you, Agnieszka. Thank you. Much love to everyone. Thank you, everybody. We are done. Jackie, any last minute thing? You're here. Musembi, thank you.
Thank you, Almaz.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Dan. I will see you soon this afternoon. Thank you. Bye, my friend. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so I think if everyone, thank you, everybody. Hopefully all downloaded the booklet. I want to make sure you do before we close the webinar. Thank you, everybody. We are so grateful to all of you, but especially also thank you to Megan for your hard work. It's been great to have you with me. Thank you. Thanks, Dan.